guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenna and I am so excited for today's video. So excited. Today we're going to be going over all of my tips for an unmedicated birth. I just had my daughter, if you are new here, I just had my daughter 5 months ago. I had her in a hospital and with no medication. So I just wanted to share some things that I learned and things that I utilized during delivery to help me go unmedicated. So the reason I'm so excited about this video is because I love birth. I love pregnancy, I love birth, and I love talking about it. I love learning about it and reading about it. So I'm super excited to share this video with you. I know a few of you who follow me are pregnant right now, and I know for a fact that some of you want to try to go unmedicated when you do deliver your baby, and I wanted to do my best to share my knowledge, tips, experience with you. So I feel like there's a couple things I'd like to add before we get started. The first one being that I'm not an expert, clearly. I didn't even take a birthing class or anything. I've only had one baby. So this is just from my one experience doing it unmedicated. What I learned, what I utilized, what helped me, and what got me through it. The second thing, I really want to mention this because I know birth is a very sensitive topic. I know some people don't get the birth that they want and pray for. So I know that this is a very sensitive topic, but I just want to say before I begin that this video is not meant to be like anyone who does it unmedicated is better than someone who got medication or an epidural or gas or had a C-section or anything like that. This is just tips for people who want to try to do it unmedicated. And this can even be useful for people who decide to get an epidural but just use techniques to get through labor. It's intense and hard no matter which way you give birth, and birth is a beautiful thing no matter which way you do it. So I just wanted to mention that all you mamas who have given birth, any way you did it, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, and it's a miracle, and good job to you. Alright, with that being said, let's get into tip number 1. So my first tip, and what I feel is most important, or at least was most beneficial to me, was to change the way that you view birth. So forever, we're pretty much just ingrained in our brain that birth is so scary and so intense and painful, and you see people screaming on TV and like yelling at their husbands and things like that. But it's really important to change the way that you view birth. Birth is something that's natural. Our bodies were made to do it. Our bodies know what to do. Of course, there's exceptions with emergencies and things like that. But our bodies were wired and designed to create, and our bodies know what to do. And it doesn't have to be a scary, crazy thing where you're screaming at the top of your lungs and it's so painful and things like that. It can be very peaceful and purposeful and happy. It doesn't have to be scary. So that's my first tip, is to really change the way that you view birth. There's a lot of ways that can help you rewire the way you think of it, and things that helped me were to refuse to listen to negative, scary birth stories. So don't purposely go out of your way to look up like bad birth stories or anything. Look up peaceful birth stories, look up peaceful birth videos, watch birth videos if you're comfortable with that. Especially if you're wanting to do it unmedicated, watch unmedicated birth stories that were positive, because you can see how other women do it, the techniques they use, and how they stay calm, how they cope, things like that. Just listen and watch so many positive, peaceful birth stories. Change the way you view birth to positive and peaceful and natural. I think that was the most important thing for me during pregnancy, was to change the way I viewed it. And one more thing, this is kind of hard to do, which I didn't really do this, but if someone tries to tell you their horror story of their birth, do not listen to it. Tell them, no thank you, I don't really want to be afraid of labor or birth. Try to just come up with something to say that is polite, that you don't want to listen to their story at the moment. Maybe you'll want to listen to it after you give birth. But I know for myself, it was just not beneficial to listen to scary stories when I was already afraid of birth. So that's the last part of that. Alright, the next thing that I want to mention, tip number 2, is to learn what happens and why it happens to your body in labor and delivery. So I really didn't know anything about labor and delivery before I got pregnant. I was very, very scared of having a baby because of labor and delivery, and I think a lot of that was because I didn't know what happened and why. And so I'm not going to tell you what happens and why because I don't feel I'm qualified to do that, but I will link some resources that helped me a lot during my pregnancy to learn what all your muscles are doing during labor and delivery, how you can encourage them to keep going, why it happens, what happens. Just learn all the stages of labor and delivery, all the stages your body goes through, and everything. I promise it will help you just being more at peace knowing what's going on. Sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier, which is why Miss Zoe is here with us because I'm filming this at the end. But one thing I wanted to mention is to make sure you do your research on the medications and what they do to your body and what they do to your baby. So a lot of the medications have risks associated with them, like stress on the baby, lower heart rate of the baby, and possible C-section, just a lot of different risks. But yeah, make sure you know what the medications do to you and also the risks associated with them for yourself and for the baby. Another thing that is really helpful, but you need to be cautious with it, is when you're doing your research, I think for myself it was important to learn about the emergencies and risks. Like, how do I say it? Like, learn about what happens if the cord gets wrapped around the baby's neck, and learn about what happens if you need a C-section and all the outcomes that could happen. For me, it was comforting to know what the next step is, just to know that there is a step and that I don't have to panic. But once you research that and you know it, push it away, push it to the back of your mind. You don't need to dwell on that. Just knowing that there is another step after an emergency that you can be helped was comforting. But again, don't dwell on it because you don't want to be dwelling on risks and emergencies and what ifs. So just figure out what could happen and how they can help you and fix it, and then again, push it away. The next couple tips are very quick and simple. I will explain them a little bit, but these are all things that helped me during my labor and delivery. If you'd like to see my labor and delivery story, I did make a video about that, which I'll link somewhere up here. But I go way more into detail there. The first thing is kind of going along with how your body knows what to do, and that's to listen to your body. So if you don't opt for any medication, you're going to be able to feel your muscles and contractions and feel your body doing what it's supposed to do. That was another reason I wanted to try and do it without an epidural, is because I wanted to really let my body do its thing. I knew I couldn't do it. Like, I knew if it was reliant on me telling my body what to do, it wouldn't know what to do. So I wanted to be able to let my body kind of take the lead. That sounds very weird and like, I don't know, that just sounds kind of weird, but I just did. I wanted to let my body take the reins and kind of go for it, and I'll just go along with the flow. And that's what you have to do. You just have to trust that your body was designed to do this and it will know what to do. Of course, there's things like being induced that help your body move along and things like that, but in the case of going into labor naturally and things like that, your body will know what to do. And then building right off that one is letting the contractions come. Don't try to push off the contractions. Don't tense up when they come. Let your contractions come and work with them. Don't tense up and don't try to make them not happen, because they're gonna happen, and the more you try to make them not happen, the longer your labor is gonna be, the more difficult it's gonna be. Just work with them, let them come, let them flow and do their thing. The next thing is to find a breathing technique that works for you, and this was absolutely necessary. My baby's awake. I'm gonna go get her quick. Hazy, say hello. Oh, is that right? Say hello. We got crazy bedhead. Alright, she's gonna chill down here on my lap. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, find a breathing technique that works for you. That was absolutely necessary through my contractions, was breathing. If I didn't have controlled breathing, I know I would have panicked, and I know I wouldn't have made it without an epidural. So the breathing techniques that I used were very slow and controlled breathing. I would kind of like count in my head like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then out 2, 3, 4. So kind of like that. And that was the one that worked best for me. It helped me calm down and it helped me get a lot of oxygen to my body. Your muscles need oxygen to keep going. Your uterus needs oxygen to keep those contractions strong and things like that. The fourth thing is confidence. You need to have confidence that you can do it. And I'm going to tell you that you can do it. If you want to do it without medication, you can. I know you can. And you just have to trust that you can do it as well. Of course, like I said, there is emergencies and there's those select other times. But I'm telling you, aside from those select few situations, you can do it. They did it for hundreds of years before epidurals and gas was even a thing. So you can totally do it without an epidural or gas or anything if you want to. Like I said, if you want to. The next thing kind of ties in with that last one, and that is to have a support person. So pretty much everything I read while I was pregnant was telling me to get a doula, but doulas are expensive and I did not want to spend a couple $100s on a doula. I did want a doula, but it was expensive and we couldn't really afford it. The only person I had in my room was my husband. He was my support person. He was amazing. But your support person that you have in the room, whether that be your husband or a friend, your mom, your mother-in-law, anything like that, make sure they know exactly what you want and what your goals are for your birth. So for example, my husband knew that I wanted to do it without an epidural. I told him when I was sane, not in labor, I told him that if I say I want an epidural, he needs to tell me no once because I told him to. He needs to tell me that I need to keep trying because I wanted to. And then if I ask again, he'll remind me why I didn't want one. And then if I still want one, then I need to go for it and get one. And he also knew what I didn't want to happen with like the doctors and things like that. And so just make sure they know your goals and your wants for your labor and delivery so they can tell the nurses and doctors what you want and don't want. It's so important to have someone there with you. We cannot do it alone. The next thing that I would say is if you are a Christian, prayer. I was just praying my whole labor and delivery. Prayer was very, very important for me because I am a Christian and I don't believe I would have been able to do it if I wasn't relying on God during that time. It was very important, and along with praying during labor and delivery, praying for your labor and delivery while you're pregnant, praying for your baby, it really helped me to rely on God, knowing that He was in control and I don't really have control over anything. It's all in God's hands, and I know that He was holding both of us. So that was very helpful to me and very important to me. Another thing that's really important is a comfort item, and for me that was a blanket. I sound like a little child carrying my blanket around, but I had a blanket that I sleep with every night, and I had like a bubble in my throat. But I had a blanket that I sleep with every night and I made sure to bring it, and I yelled into that thing at the end, and that was very important for me because I felt bad yelling when there was other ladies giving birth and I didn't want to freak them out and things like that. But I wasn't yelling because it hurt so bad or anything. I was yelling because it was so intense. Like I was so tired and it was so intense that the only thing I could do was to just like like yell. So if you need to make a noise, make noise. It's actually very helpful. So, and then the next things are dependent on your hospital. So for me, they offered a bathtub to labor in, and then also a birthing ball. So I did not go in the water because I felt very disgusting after my waters broke, and I didn't feel like having them drain in the tub. I just kind of chilled on the birthing ball a lot. I bounced a lot. I rolled a lot. I just spent a lot of time on that birthing ball, and that was very helpful, especially during back labor. That was like the only thing that would help my back labor. So if you're feeling that pain in your back, make sure you have something to relieve the pressure in your back. Also dancing. Music is something that's very used in my life, and it's very important to me. I love music. I'm a piano teacher. I just am always listening to music or making music. And so that and dancing was something that was extremely helpful and fun for me during labor. It helped me get my mind off of it, kind of calm down, and me and my husband just danced and sang. It was fun. My hospital also offered little essential oil diffuser sniffer things. Oh, that's a word. But they offered like mandarin and spearmint and different things like that to help any nausea you may have, any anxiousness you may have, things like that. So essential oils were very good. And then I also think having water and Gatorade was very important. I know that Gatorade is not very good for you. I know it's so sugary, but Gatorade really gives me a lot of energy, and it was amazing to have it there. Especially when I had like a super dry mouth and I just needed a little burst of refreshing yumminess. And then this one's kind of random. It doesn't really go along with in your labor, but throughout pregnancy, make sure you're drinking red raspberry leaf tea. So I know there's some controversy about it, like it could induce your labor and it's not good for you to drink it and stuff while you're early pregnant, but talk to your doctor. My doctor was fine with me drinking it, and many midwives recommend drinking it. It's supposed to make your contractions more purposeful, therefore making your labor more short. I don't know if it made my labor more short, but I know for a fact, well, okay, I don't know for a fact, but I very strongly believe that it did make my contractions less painful and more purposeful, because honestly, they were not really painful. They were just very intense. They were very powerful, very intense. That's exactly what the red raspberry leaf tea is supposed to do. It's supposed to strengthen your uterus and make your contractions strong. Just because they make it more strong doesn't mean they make them hurt more. I feel like when it strengthened my uterus, it made it so that they didn't hurt as bad. I don't know, I don't have anything to go off of, but there's plenty of studies on red raspberry leaf tea on labor and stuff, and very interesting stuff. That stuff is amazing. This is a kind that I got. You can buy it in bulk for much cheaper on Amazon, but I just got this at Target, and I would drink, I started at like 32 weeks, I think, and next pregnancy I will definitely start way earlier. But I started drinking like 2 cups a day and then slowly upped it to 3 cups and 4 cups in the last week or 2 of my pregnancy. So, yeah, I would recommend that a lot, like for sure. I think those are all my tips. I'm sure I'm missing something. There's so many things that can help you in your labor and delivery, make it easier, make it more peaceful, things like that. There's so many different things you can research and learn, how you handle stress, how you handle intensity, and yeah, so if I think of any more things, maybe I'll try to make a part 2 to this video. But I hope this helped any of you who are pregnant or are going to be pregnant soon and want to try to deliver unmedicated. I strongly encourage you to try unmedicated. It feels very empowering, and it feels amazing to see how our bodies were made and what they're capable of. You kind of get like a, yeah, I just did that, like, wow, I'm strong. So I would strongly encourage you to do it. It's a very cool experience. It's intense, but it's amazing, and I love it. I plan to do it again next time. So alright, that is all my tips. I hope that this helped you a little bit, and if you are pregnant, I'm very happy for you. Congratulations. And I hope that your labor and delivery goes exactly how you planned and prayed for. Yeah. Mine was wonderful, and I got you out of it, right? I'm going to link a bunch of resources that helped me a lot down in the description. YouTubers I watched, positive birth stories I watched, podcasts, things like that. I want to link as much as I can for you. I just want to help you guys out. But I hope I helped you. I'm sure I'm missing so much. Is that a pretty light? I'm sure I'm missing so much, but that's all for this video. If I think of more, maybe I'll make a part 2. Thank you for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye!